Okay, so in the last class, we have discussed the methods that how can we choose different methods for making the salts of different metals. For example, if we have to prepare a salt of these three metals as they are most reactive, so we cannot add them directly into the water due to their very violent reaction. As a result, we use their alkalis with the acid and do titration over here. When we talk about these metals which are of moderate reactivity, so these metals can directly be added in the acid to form their salts. Beside this, their oxides and carbonates, which are also water soluble, can be added in acid to form their salts. So we use this method where we mix an excess solid or add an excess solid in the acid. Then these metals are of least reactivity and they do not react with the acid, so these metals are not directly added into the salt to produce into the acid to produce salts, but their oxides and carbonates can be added into the or can be mixed with the acids to form salts. So here also we use excess solid and mix it in acid to form salts. Okay, now we are going to start with the first method where we for to form a soluble salt and where we are going to add an excess solid to an acid. Okay, so that is the first method. These are the outline of the steps for the salt to prepare. Here the excess solid that we are going to use can be a metal or metal oxide or metal carbonate. Okay, so from here we are continuing. So in step 1, what we will do, we will add a dilute acid into a beaker and then add solid in excess. Okay, so basically, as I have underlined this dilute acid, so we have to mention the name of the acid, which acid we are going to use. And in the same way, we are going to name the solid which we are adding, whether it's a, for example, if we talk about magnesium, so whether it's a magnesium oxide or magnesium carbonate. For example, it's, let's suppose, zinc, so whether it's zinc metal, it's zinc oxide or zinc carbonate. Then in the third step, we warm the mixture because they react relatively slowly, and then stir until solid stops dissolving. That is the common observation, that solid stops dissolving because solid is in excess. So that solid can be metal oxide or metal carbonate. But there will be a specific observation that bubbles are being formed and they stop forming when we are using either metal or metal carbonate. See, I have mentioned over here. Then in the third step, we filter the mixture into the evaporating dish so the excess solid will be separated. And then we evaporate the solution till crystallization point. What does a crystallization point means? It's the point when some of the solvent evaporated, and due to the evaporation of the solvent, the crystals of the salt start appearing in the solution. Then we leave it for some time so it gets cooled. And on cooling, there are more crystals which are formed. Then after that, we will filter it and then dry these crystals using filter paper or oven. So for 4 marks, examiner asks you to write or outline the method. So you will outline the method in this way. The method is actually written in the purple, and the green are the indicator marks only. So note this down, then we will see a question.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, in last step, after the crystals are formed and they are cooled, so why we are filtering them again?
Because these crystals are formed in the solution.
Okay, so we will filter by adding the water in it.
No. We just do the filter, pass the solution through filter paper. So all the crystals are collected in the filter paper and all the solution is drained from the filter paper to another container, and then we dry those crystals which are obtained or collected in the filter paper.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, everybody noted down?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now have a look at the question. This question is actually related to only this method. They are saying that aluminum sulfate is a soluble salt, and we are discussing the methods for preparing the soluble salt. So which metal it contains? Aluminium. Okay. Now read the second statement. Describe how the sample of aluminium crystals can be prepared from aluminium oxide. So they have told you that you have to use a metal oxide, and metal oxide is always solid. So it means which method we are going to use? We are going to use this second method, which is written in the yellow, an excess solid with the acid. Okay. So what contains that salt? Salt contains an aluminium ion. What other ion is present in the salt? Oxygen. That is the
Oxide.
starting material. If you read the question again, the comprehension of the question is very important. If you see, aluminium sulfate is a soluble salt. Describe how a sample of aluminium sulfate crystals can be prepared. So what we have to prepare?
Aluminium sulfate.
Aluminium sulfate from aluminium oxide. So aluminium oxide is a metal oxide. So now we need an acid, right?
We can
Salt
take sulfuric acid.
aluminium ion, and the other thing is
Sulfuric acid.
sulfate ion. Yes, good, Khatija, sulfuric acid. So sulfate can be taken out from sulfuric acid. So the acid that we are going to use will be sulfuric acid because we need a sulfate ion. So now how we will write this method? We will use this format to write the method. First, add dilute sulfuric acid into a beaker and then add solid aluminium oxide in excess. We have to use the specific names of the substances we are taking. Warm the mixture and stir until the solid stops dissolving. Now there is no need to write bubbles stop forming because there is not metal carbonate, we have a metal oxide. So we will write it till dissolving. Then the next three steps will be the same. Is it clear? Yes,
sir.
Khatija and Aisha? Okay, so see, I have written the method. Now write the question and then note the answer quickly.
Sir,
Yes,
sir, when first we will filter the solution, so in that the residue will be base like aluminum oxide, right? And
yes,
the okay,
yes.
yes, my question was completed. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Is everybody noted down this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, next is the titration method. In titration method, we react a dilute acid and an alkali when the oxides are and hydroxides are water soluble. So we will go for this method, and it is for potassium, sodium, and calcium. Okay. So in this method, what we will do, we will first use our pipette to transfer the alkali into the conical flask. Then we will add few drops of indicator. Why we use the indicator? Because indicator changes the color when the reaction is completed. So we get to know that when the salt is formed. Then we will fill the burette with an acid. So here, as I have underlined the alkali and acid, so we are going to write the specific names of the alkali and acid that we are using. Then add acid slowly to the flask, in which actually we have already the alkali and the indicator in the flask. And now from burette, we are adding the acid in the same flask very slowly while swirling the flask. Swirling the means shaking the flask round. And we do this until the color changes in the flask. As soon as the color changes, we further stop adding the acid from the burette. Now we note the volume of the acid from the burette, and then we repeat the same experiment now without adding the indicator, because an indicator makes the impurity over there. But now we know how much volume we have to add, so we now repeat the experiment. We will add the same volume of acid in the flask containing only alkali, and now we don't add the indicator in it. So when we add the same amount of acid, then the salt will be formed. Now we heat the solution again till crystallization point. The last 2 points are same. Then leave it to cool, and on cooling filter the crystals, and then dry the crystals either in oven or in a filter paper. Is this understandable?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Aisha. Okay, note down this method. Then we will see the question related to this as well. Yes, completed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if we have to prepare the salts of group 1 elements like lithium, sodium, potassium, and calcium, then we will go for this titration method. Now let's have a look at the question related to this method. See over here. First look at the question number part 1, part A. Here they are saying that methane sulfonic acid reacts with magnesium to make a salt and gas. The formula of the anion in the salt is CH3CO3 negative. So what is the salt form? That salt contains this negative ion. Now they are asking write the formula of the salt form. So what positive ion will be present in the salt?
Magnesium 2 plus.
Magnesium 2 plus. So then we will use the method of making the formula that the value of the charges will be moved to the subscript of the opposite ion, so that 2 moves to the subscript of this sulfonic acid's negative ion. So I will enclose it in bracket, then write 2 and then write Mg. So that's how I will make the formula of the salt. Is this clear? Yes, Aisha and Khatija. Now,
Yes,
in
sir.
the second method, if you see, second question, a student prepared some crystals of hydrated lithium nitrate. Lithium is in group 1. So, and we know that all group 1 salts are water soluble. By reacting aqueous lithium hydroxide with dilute nitric acid. So, see, nitric acid is aqueous and lithium hydroxide is also aqueous. So, both are aqueous and the salt is also water soluble. So, which method we go for? We go for titration in that case. Explain how would you carry out this procedure to obtain dry crystals of hydrated lithium nitrate. So we'll repeat the whole process of a titration by using the specific names of the acid and the lithium hydroxide. So the answer will be written like this for 4 marks. Now type it out. Instead of alkali, I used lithium hydroxide. And then add few drops of indicator. Fill the burette with dilute nitric acid. Now add acid to the flask until change its color. Then we repeat without the indicator using the same volume. So see how all the method is same. Just we have now use the specific names of the alkali and the salt. Okay.
सर ब्राइटनेस बढ़ सकती है थोड़ी स्क्रीन की
जरा के
सर ये सवाल पास कर दो
Yeah, we just discussed the method. See, we have noted down the method, and according on the basis of that method, we are going to do the look at the questions of the past paper, which comes in which that method have been asked. Okay, so note down the questions and write the answers. Okay, I will share the link for the recording. Ask me, so watch the recording before the next class. And tomorrow probably we will have an online class. I will share in the group. That will be around in the morning at 10 or 11. Is it fine? You are added in the group?
सर अभी जाके बात करूंगा उससे बोलता हूं कि आना मुझे तो बैठ
Second. Okay. Okay, now complete this. Then we will go for the third method, which is the precipitation method for the filtration of insoluble salts.
पानी भी है पानी का ले आते हो चीजें भी आ रहा है आपने देखा भी होगा वो सोचा होगा बताइए आगे जुड़े हो रहा है शाम को यहाँ से तो मैं सोचता हूँ सवाल नहीं करते हाँ नंबर बाहर भी वही तो मैंने बोला मैं क्लास में चला था उसको बोला कि हाँ चलिए मैं तो कौन सी क्लास नहीं मैं तो इसकी 5 बजे बाद क्या मतलब वही तो मुझे नहीं समझ आया ना उसने कहा ये बाहर नहीं बैठता है वही तो इसको भी वो था मुझे क्या मैंने बोला क्लास में कितनी देर लगती है तो कहते 5 बजे मैंने बोला अभी तो उधर कर दिया कहते हैं हाँ अभी जल्दी है मगर 5 बजे बोली मैंने बोला अभी तो 5 बजे नहीं मिला कि टाइम कितना है तो कहता पूछ रहे थे भाई अंदर जाके पूछो अंदर क्यों पूछना अरे भाई अब कह रहा है आगे देखोगी ये तो कोई और क्लास का यार मैं बात बता मैं सोचा मैं तो कोई जाएगा वैसे जाएगा ठीक है इनके लिए हुआ है तो क्या मेरी 4 से 5 मेरा देखना 9 4 से 5 तेज आता है फिर 5 से 6 के साथ फिजिक्स आता है कंप्यूटर ठीक है
रह गया हाँ कितना रह गया Done? Yes, Khatija and Aisha.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, after the titration, there are two methods for the making the soluble salts. One is we add the excess solid in the acid, and that excess solid is metal oxide or metal carbonate. And the second one is the titration. Now, to prepare the insoluble salts, we will do precipitation method. And what does precipitation means? Basically, precipitation is a reaction in which we mix two solutions. Okay, when we mix the two solutions, the one of the product formed is water insoluble, so it doesn't stays in the solution. Instead, it comes out as a solid. So on mixing the two solutions, you will see a pairing of the small solid particles in the solution, and those small solid particles that are formed in the solution are called precipitates, and that's why we call that reaction precipitation. Is this understandable? Okay, so see over here in this equation, if you see these two are aqueous, so it means they are water soluble. So when we mixed it, on mixing, we see there are two new products formed. One is aqueous, so it stays in the solution, we didn't able to see it. But the one which is solid appears as a precipitates or a solid particles, which we call precipitates. So that is the theory of the precipitation. Complete this, then we will discuss the method. Then
सर एक अगर आप भी जान
okay. Now here is the method and the salts which are water insoluble. So there we take two compounds and those two compounds must be water soluble. We dissolve each compound in a separate test tube. So the solution of both the compounds will be prepared. Then we mix those two compounds. On mixing, the precipitates are formed. Then we separate those precipitates by filtration. Then we wash the precipitates with the distilled water to remove any impurities from them, and then place in oven to dry. Okay, so its method is very easy. Now, these are the salts which can be prepared by precipitation method because they are water insoluble salt. So silver chloride, lead chloride, both forms white precipitates. You have to remember these colors as well because examiner asks these colors. Silver bromide, lead bromide, both forms clean color precipitates. Silver iodide, lead iodide, both forms yellow precipitate. Then calcium sulfate, barium sulfate, lead sulfate, and all the carbonates except carbonate of group 1 element and ammonium all are water insoluble and they show you white precipitates except transition. Okay, so note down the method, then we will see the past paper question related to this precipitation method. And I ask you to memorize the table for the solubility of salts which we did in the last class, this one. Who remember this? Because if you don't, then it will not help you to do that, and the question, it will not help you to decide which will be the compound A and which will be the compound B. So you have to remember this. Okay. Now note down the method quickly.
Sir, why we are adding both the compounds in different test tubes, not in one?
Why we are adding both the compounds?
In different test tubes, but not in one.
Because first we make their solutions, then we mix them.
Okay. सर ये जो कलर्स बनेंगे जब हम दोनों सॉल्ट्स को मिक्स कर लेंगे जब बनेंगे ना?
Yes, after mixing the salt, when the precipitates appear, so these precipitates are of these colors.
सर वो एंड पे क्या लिखो ग्रुप 1 और उसके बाद ये लिखा
And ammonium.
है
And ammonium. Yes, everybody completed till here?
चलो
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay. Now, have a look at this question. It is related to this. See, they have informed you barium sulfate is an insoluble salt. Describe how a pure dry sample of barium sulfate can be prepared. So what you have to prepare? From an aqueous barium chloride. So one solution they have given you, which is aqueous barium chloride. So we need to know the other solution which have a sulfate, because the salt that we want to prepare is barium sulfate, and we are getting barium from barium chloride. So we get to know the sulfate compound having a sulfate. So as we know, sulfate is a negative ion, and all group 1 compounds are water soluble. So we can take any group 1 sulfate, for example, lithium sulfate, sodium sulfate, potassium sulfate. Or beside this, we can also use our acid as well, that is sulfuric acid. So what we are going to use, one is barium chloride and the other one is barium sulfate is the one which is going to be obtained at the end, which is water insoluble. So what will be the other thing? The
Sodium
sulfuric
sulfate.
acid or sodium sulfate or potassium sulfate or lithium sulfate, anyone. So see, mix, and they have told us that there is a aqueous barium chloride, right? So it means from our method, we will skip this first stage. We will just skip this stage because here we are preparing the solutions, and they have told us that the solutions are already prepared. There is aqueous. So we will start from just then we name the substances, then we will say right that we will mix them, then precipitates are formed. So see over here, mix aqueous barium chloride that is provided to us and aqueous sodium sulfate. So instead of this sodium sulfate, you can use potassium sulfate as well because it's a group 1, or you can use sulfuric acid as well. Then white precipitates are formed, filter the precipitates, wash with distilled water and dry in oven. Okay, so take the picture of this and complete it later. And in the next class, we will be continuing the cations and anions.
और सर कल ऑनलाइन
Yes.
Sir,
Yes, Khatija.
No, I
Sir?
am not asking. Aisha is asking something.
Sorry.
sir, I am asking.
Yes, Aisha.
Sir, when will you share the recordings?
Oh, okay. Just give me a minute. I am sharing right now. Yes, Khatija, what you were saying?
Okay, thank you, sir.
I was just saying Allah Hafiz.
Okay, take care, everyone. Allah Hafiz. I am sharing right now, Khatija. Oh, Aisha, okay? Allah Hafiz.